Imagine a close friend blocking your number today. They didn't just change their mind overnight. Have you ever felt that chilling, sudden coldness? You likely missed their silent signals many times. This wasn't an outburst, it's a rational choice. We often label these people as heartless monsters. At first glance, that assumption sounds correct, but the reality is completely the opposite. They were truly the most patient ones all along. They endure the behaviors you choose to ignore. Why do we fear their firm boundaries so deeply? Most people assume that's the whole story. We blindly cross lines for the sake of harmony. This constant friction slowly wears down the soul. They value inner peace over a massive friend list. Let's explore their unique psychological traits. This isn't your typical advice on toxic friends. Are you losing sleep over a sudden disconnection? Maybe you're too scared to end a draining bond. This truth will shatter your relationship norms. Have you heard of the social exchange theory? Human relationships operate much like a market. We naturally expect a fair return on our energy. It isn't about money or material wealth at all. It's about time, empathy, and genuine respect. These masters keep a strict emotional ledger. They track the flow of invisible social resources. Suppose they invest 100 units of emotional effort. If returns stay below 10, alarms start ringing. They view this dynamic as a failing business. Interestingly, they are never cold from the start. In the early days, they act like angel investors. They listen to your 2 a.m. rants with a warm smile. If you arrive 30 minutes late, they forgive you. They truly believe in the potential of the bond. They bet entirely on the principle of reciprocity. At this stage, they seem incredibly selfless. But here is the part almost nobody talks about. Their kindness is never an unlimited free pass. It functions like a loan backed by deep trust. That is exactly where the real problem starts. You begin to take their warm favors for granted. You assume they will tolerate absolutely anything. Gratitude fades, and you treat them like a dump. You only call them when you need to complain. What happens when they try to share their pain? You cut them off and pivot back to your drama. Right then, a silent financial audit begins. They coldly collect data on your selfish habits. They compare their effort against your neglect. How do you feel after meeting this person? Does your heart feel warm or completely shredded? Normal folks tolerate a negative ledger balance. They cling to old memories and fear the breakup. They forcefully patch up the deficit and suffer. These masters handle deficits much differently. They fear losing themselves more than losing you. Once capital is depleted, they prepare to close. You probably think they vanished without warning. Actually, they sent multiple certified notices. They said they were too tired to talk that day. They gently mentioned feeling a bit disappointed. These weren't just trivial, passing complaints. They were final distress signals for the ledger. You brushed them off as mere temporary fatigue. Why is their final decision so terrifyingly cold? They literally have zero regrets left to feel. They know they gave you more than enough chances. There is no guilt because it is not for revenge. It is simply a highly rational management choice. What happens when they delete your social media? Their hearts aren't frozen with bitter hatred. They are actually flooded with immense relief. You cry and wonder how someone changes so fast. They silently recall the many chances you blew. Their silence is what truly terrifies us first. Usually, people yell or send long texts when hurt. We expect some messy excuses or an angry fight. But these individuals remain shockingly calm. Are they simply saints who cannot feel any anger? The truth is much more practical than you think. Expressing anger is a massive waste of energy. Psychologists call this a state of hyperarousal. They learned long ago that people rarely change. Instead of fighting, they enter observation mode. Their silence isn't a sign of passive acceptance. It is a mental trial to judge your real character. They gather invisible yellow cards in their mind. The scary part is they never show you these cards. Let's imagine you two go out for a quick lunch. You act rudely toward the restaurant staff. They just watch you quietly with a subtle smile. You falsely assume they admire your confidence. Meanwhile, the first yellow card is issued. They realize you treat vulnerable people poorly. Another day, you show up 10 minutes late again. They laugh it off and say everything is fine. Internally, the second yellow card is recorded. This process operates exactly like a time bomb. You never hear the ticking until it finally blows. Why do they keep nodding at your shallow stories? It's simply polite etiquette before the goodbye. They aren't giving you time to fix your flaws. They are measuring how low you can actually go. They detect toxic red flags faster than most. If the pattern repeats 3 times, it is over. Once the sentence is passed, there is no mercy. Suddenly, their profile picture simply vanishes. Your messages sit unread, and calls won't connect. You frantically ask around about their weird vibe. From their perspective, this wasn't sudden at all. They processed hundreds of mental warning lights. They practiced this breakup alone countless times. The decision is backed by months of solid data. They are completely certain the bond has expired. We often complain that they should have spoken up, but to them, explaining the issue is a luxury. Pointing out your flaws guarantees another fight. You will make excuses or launch a counterattack. They have absolutely zero energy left for drama. You drained them fully, so why explain anything? Evaporating into thin air is the fastest solution. It might look terrifyingly cold to an outsider, but it's their ultimate defense mechanism at work. Protecting their peace is better than fixing you. Why do some people cling to toxic relationships? They fear being totally isolated in an emergency. To them, any connection feels like a lifeline. But these masters redefine what loneliness means. They view bad company as a much worse disaster. Picture a loud, crowded party full of laughter. Have you felt completely isolated in that room? That hollow feeling is what true loneliness is. They are highly sensitive to solitude in a crowd. Recharging alone at home is infinitely richer. For them, isolation is stability, not a deficit. They view the quiet aftermath as absolute peace. Society often pressures us to maintain a wide net, but they boldly refuse to play that social game. They pick their own peace over a fake reputation. They gladly accept the label of being the bad guy. Ignoring rude texts is a small price to pay. After the purge, their energy quality skyrockets. They invest that saved energy into themselves. One true friend beats 100 shallow contacts. Think of this as locking a deadbolt on your heart. Pruning a dead branch is how a tree stays healthy. Walking away helps you protect your inner peace. Tell us about the relief you felt after a breakup. Join us next time to learn how to guard your peace.